Let's get to Sweeny and see what's going on. Sweeny, what's going on?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
What's happening?
Well, I guess CC Sabathia is the big news today.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all know he had the opt-out.
Sure.
I understand that they want him to. You want him to give up something that he earned, that he negotiated for. Well, he's not going to give that up. I mean, you would expect him to say, "I guarantee you guys. What if I go 25-2? I'd like to add a couple of years to my contract." Here's the more interesting thing. This would be the more interesting story to me. Did he ever tell Lee that he was thinking opting out?
Oh, I don't know about that.
That would be more interesting than this.
I think. Well, so you're telling me that CC is going to end up in Philadelphia next year?
No. What I'm saying is, could imagine if he ever said to Lee, "I don't know about my future in New York."
Yeah, he mentioned Lee today and said that basically he knew a couple of days before that he was going to end up in Philadelphia, because Cliff told him what we've all found out after that was that how much he enjoyed his time there and how comfortable he was there. To me, Mike, the interesting thing about today with CC is that how much he's talked about how much he likes it here and has kind of dismissed the idea of that opt-out over the course of the last 2 years, saying it was just in his contract, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden, I'm here right now trying to help the team win, and he's holding that opt-out pretty much over their heads.
Because the opt-out's there.
It's there.
And now the opt-out counts. I mean,
and it's actually a smart business decision on his part.
It is. It could be worth money to him. It could be worth guaranteed years to him down the road.
And combine all of this, Mike, the fact that he's dropped 25 pounds. He's checked in today at 290. Take a little bit of pressure off that knee, and he says, I want to do that, and I want to maybe play another 8 or 10 years. Well, okay, now light goes on.
Yeah. How about 4 guaranteed more years on the contract?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he signed. Think about it this way. This is a way to get more guaranteed money than he would if he just played out his contract.
Sure.
Because add 5 more years of innings to his arm, and he's age 35. How much money is he going to get if he wants to keep pitching after that? He's probably not going to be, unless he's just a total freak of nature here, Mike, and keeps doing this. He's not going to get a contract that pays him $20 million a year at age 35. But if he opts out now, he can tack on a couple of years at $20 million plus after this and get even more guaranteed money.
And I think there's, listen, this is a story for next October. This isn't a story for now.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a story for during Game 4 of the World Series.
Right. But it is a story for October. It isn't a story for now. Here's the story I would have for now. How does Joe Girardi decide who's in the bottom of his rotation? Is it going to be the jobs are won in the spring? Does the jobs have to be lost in the spring? Does somebody have to take the jobs away from the back guys who are there right now? I mean, how do we decide? How does he decide? Not us, because we don't decide, but how does he decide who is in the bottom of the Yankee rotation?
He says, Mike, it's an open competition.
Okay.
So it means that nobody sits there and says, I've got this spot, I've got that spot. If you ask me today who the 4th and 5th starters are going to be, as of today, I would tell you, based off of what we saw in 2010, that Freddie Garcia and Ivan Nova probably have the best shot. Just my opinion. Garcia made 28 starts at the major league level for the White Sox last year, pitched pretty well. He can pitch in the back of this rotation. And Ivan Nova, obviously, people like what they saw from him. He doesn't have restrictions the same way some of the other Yankee starters did as they came up through the system, because he's gone through his normal progression through the minor leagues. So no innings limits on him, and I think they like the promise of him in this rotation. So I would tell you that I think personally those two guys are the guys who have to be beaten, and you've got a number of other arms, but doesn't mean that those guys are going to make 33 starts a year, this year for the Yankees, Mike. There's a lot of guys here, especially who are, they're all excited about in the minor leagues, that you might see a couple of these guys. Obviously injuries happen, other things happen. You might see some of these guys that we're going to talk about a lot this spring, guys like Benuelos and Betances and Brackman and a kid named Adam Warren, who, I talked to a couple of people this winter about those first 3 names, and all of them said, hey, don't forget Adam Warren. This guy's a guy that might be one of the best of the bunch here with the Yankees. So he's the guy that's going to get a look this spring. You're going to hear a lot about these guys in the spring, and maybe you'll see them as the season goes on. But again, if you ask me today who I think the 4th and 5th starters are going to be when camp opens, assuming nothing strange happens, I personally think it's Garcia and Nova.
All right, we're talking with Sweeny here as we get ready to open up Yankee camp. The other story is Joba, and hey, I mean, this idea Joba's not guaranteed a job. I mean, is somebody kidding? I mean, unless Job is traded, he's going to be on the Yankees. I mean, come on now. I mean, we're going to now devalue Job to the point where he's not on the team automatically. Unless he's traded for a starting pitcher, I'd be pretty shocked if Job wasn't on the opening day roster.
Yeah, I would too. I think it's just Cashman's typical way of saying anybody that's got minor league options. If somebody else outpitches you, it's just kind of a little kick in the butt for somebody who might need it. That's another reason you have some veteran guys brought in here, even at position player spots, Mike.
A lot of relievers that like to have Joba's stats from last year.
Sure. The thing that
Job is now underrated. I mean, I think he's actually gotten to the point where people expected so much out of him that he's actually become an underrated pitcher.
I think the thing that keeps scaring people off about Joba is that his blow-ups are so spectacular. He'll go through 6 or 7 games where it's okay, mow him down, do this, do that, and then he'll give up a 4 spot. And it ends up costing you a game or put something out of reach. So maybe if you were down a run, now you're down 4 or 5. His bad games, especially early in the year, were so spectacularly bad that you just wanted some sort of middle ground. Joe Girardi was saying today that he's really focusing on what Joba gave them the last 2 months of the season, thought that was more consistent and better. Of course, he was dropped down from the last 2 months. Coincidentally, he wasn't pitching the 8th inning anymore. Yankees got Kerry Wood, and he dropped down a role, and he was a little bit more effective there. So maybe that's the key. Obviously, the Yankees have Rafael Soriano here. They've got a couple of lefties that they can bring out of the pen. So Joba's role is a little less significant. But listen, we know any bullpen role for the Yankees is always significant, especially when your name's Joba Chamberlain.